Hello, I am in Mountain View and I'm on the way to San Francisco. I live in San Francisco now, but I commute to Mountain View every single day for work. If you don't know me, I'm Ukes and I've been unemployed for 20 months before finding my job, and I moved across the country to take it. I was coming from Washington, D.C., and now I live in sunny California. Since I'm heading into San Francisco now for dinner, I thought I'd show you a little bit of my commute. I got laid off a year and a half ago and spent 18 months trying to go independent and figure out my next move. Then I spent 10 weeks of intense job searching, trying to decide if I wanted to live in London, DC, or somewhere else. I figured I'd take this time to answer some questions I got because it's been a while since we caught up. What are you most looking forward to this year? This year, I'm most looking forward to finishing a second draft of my novel. I have at least an hour to get some focused work done. I try to write on the train, although sometimes I'm just too tired or sleepy, and I'll default to something easier like posting on social media. I never thought I would be okay with a job that basically has me going into the office every day, but this is actually really helping me stay structured. It's like being in a cafe car, and every single day I know I have at least 2 hours I could focus and do my own personal projects. My advice in this job hunt is to stay open to living somewhere else. I was open to moving to San Francisco, so I applied. I applied to jobs in London, DC, San Fran, lots of different cities. I actually booked my month in San Francisco before I even knew I'd landed anything. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew I didn't want to do product anymore. But other than that, I was pretty open to a lot of different roles. And I applied really widely. Anything from product marketing, growth, go to market, product adjacent roles. When I had a direct connection to a job, like I knew someone on the team, or I was already familiar with the hiring manager somehow, I would apply only for product roles in that case. But most of the time, I was going pretty wide. I remember the first couple of weeks, it was tough. It was like I'd apply to 5 jobs a day in the first week, and I felt really, really on top of it. And then momentum sort of slowed, and the number of jobs I'd apply to every day would trickle. But then I would get an interview, and then that would be exciting. I recorded all my interviews actually so that I could review how I did, and I used it with the transcript that I would put into ChatGPT and ask how I could improve the next time. Something I realized is I don't like case study interviews. I don't like answering with a kind of framework, but I don't mind take home assignments. That's okay. I generally try to track which interviews I enjoyed and just keep moving forward with those. Around this time, I was mostly applying to jobs in London because that's the main place I wanted to move. But it was just getting really hard because of visa sponsorship. You need visa sponsorship. I'm American, and I was getting discouraged. So my friend moved to San Francisco for a month or two, and she was encouraging me, you should look into San Francisco. There's a lot of tech opportunities here if you're applying for tech roles, and she knew I was applying. You should definitely come out. Also, I'll be here. We'll have a lot of fun. I decided, okay, let me give it a real shot. I moved to DC to try to network my way into something while I was applying. I visited London for 2 weeks, and I got one or two interviews just by cold messaging hiring managers. One person I already knew, and got an interview from that. It was for this sales role, which he was pretty upfront to say I didn't have the sales experience to move forward. So the London roles were just not really happening for me. I was getting discouraged too. So I started applying for jobs in San Francisco. And I had this impression for a long time that San Francisco is super, super competitive. Everyone who's getting laid off from a tech job is applying. There's a lot of people who are more technical than I am. I didn't really think too much about it. Like, I didn't really take it that seriously. But I was really surprised to find out that San Francisco was the fastest. Like, startup jobs are the fastest to get back to me for interviews. Most of my interviews while I was in London were actually for roles that were in San Francisco or San Francisco Bay Area. I had this one interview with a startup and they just moved really fast. It was like day one was with the hiring manager and someone else on the team. Day two was with the CEO slash founder. Day three was with HR, another round. And then that was it. It was like 3 days in a row. A couple days later, that's when I got an offer. I ended up getting my official offer on Christmas Day and then signing shortly after. What I ended up taking was a role in developer community. It's kind of like a subset of developer relations when the main things that I'm doing day to day are planning hackathons, planning meetups for developers to get to know the product better. Also, it's kind of similar to one of my previous jobs where I've been an API PM, I've been an AI PM. So it's an AI infrastructure company. So it's like not that far off from stuff I used to do as a PM, except now I'm way more focused outward facing, like hosting events, moderating a panel, doing talks. This is the earliest stage startup that I've ever worked at. I've worked at a Series C before. This is a Series A, Series B company, and I've been here for about 30 days now. So one thing I didn't expect when I started this job hunt was to feel excited to work again because for a long time I just wanted to do my own thing and be independent. In the process of applying, and I applied to over 120 different jobs in 3 different cities across 10 weeks. Once I hit about 100, that's when I actually started enjoying the process more, and it felt like a game. Even after I started getting interviews and I was getting on-sites, I just started seeing more and more roles that I enjoyed. I had 2 roles that ended up getting to final round. Both of them were community roles. And I realized community roles were something I wanted to do, and those were the jobs I applied for the most because while I was job searching, I was also building community in DC, and I have a whole video about that if you're interested. If you haven't figured out what you want to do next, it's okay. You might find out while you're job hunting, which is what happened to me. I didn't know until I landed the job. And while I was interviewing, something I was worried about was having this gap. But the truth is, I didn't have a gap in my resume. Anything I did that had numbers attached to it, I put into my resume. Like my YouTube metrics numbers, my meetup numbers, anything. It went into the resume. So I didn't have a gap, and I talked about what I did. I was like, I host meetups, and that was a bonus. As a community manager, you want somebody who has hosted things before. So it ended up working out. If you were looking to me for inspiration on going independent, I just want to say that I think what I'm doing now is still feeding into my skills and the skills that I would need to go independent. What's next is taking everything that I've learned from this, from my layoff, from the months that I wasn't working, and sharing it back, and also keeping you updated and bringing you along on this life in San Francisco.